Romance in anime and manga can be such a weird topic to talk about. It can sometimes be an amazing, heartwarming thrill ride with lovable characters, relatable, awkward moments, and can even sometimes teach you great life lessons or make you reminisce on those nice days you had with a certain special someone. And then it can also be this.
I'm gonna be blunt. Will you have sex with me?
While there may be many different, subgenres, if you will, in the romance category of anime and manga, the two main ones that you'll see the most often are shonen and shoujo. For those of you that are unfamiliar with these two words, shonen is a Japanese word that can directly be translated to young boy, while shoujo is the Japanese word for young girl. As the name suggests, shonen romance is marketed at boys or young teens and will likely include harem hijinks, fan service, and a focus on action or comedy more. Shoujo is marketed at girls and will likely feature a female protagonist with a greater focus on drama and characterization. The most obvious tell is the gender of the protagonist. Shoujo will most often have a female protagonist, while shonen will most often have a male as their protagonist. Second, the art style is generally noticeably different when comparing shonen versus shoujo. There was a lot more of, let's just say human anatomy in shonen manga and a lot more trashy artwork, while shoujo manga tends to be a bit more relaxed with its art and is nowhere near as degenerate. Not the best examples, but they lead nicely into the next big difference, where the emphasis in the romance is generally put. Shoujo is more often reliant on resonating with its audience on an emotional level and oftentimes will forego physical or psychological progress in order to draw out that emotional appeal through drama. Shonen, on the other hand, oftentimes appeals to its audience through more conventional fan service and harem-esque plot setups, while ignoring a more emotionally powerful romantic buildup. I'm not here to argue if one is better than the other. This is just a very, very, very generalized summary of both topics. Now, I know some of you may be wondering how this has any correlation to the manga that we're going to be talking about today, but trust me, it does. The reason why I'm giving you this quick crash course on romance manga is because the manga that we're going to be looking at today is an interesting one. And I think it'd be a lot more beneficial for people to understand the slight differences between shoujo and shonen romance to fully appreciate the unique position this manga has found itself in. Now, with all of that finally out of the way, I want to propose a question to those of you that are watching this video. What happens when a manga finds itself in the middle of all of this? And well, here is when we get to the compelling story that is Blue Box. Taiki Inomata is a third year in junior high who attends Amy Academy. Taiki is your average everyday high school kid, and no, I don't mean your average everyday high school kid in anime terms, I mean in like actual real life terms. He is just a dude you would probably see at school and be cool with. He's not some social outcast with this really traumatic childhood backstory that caused him to be introverted and have a panic attack every time someone comes to talk to him, and he's not this genius philosopher that has this jaded 4D bleak perspective on life. Taiki is just an awkward, angsty dude on the high school badminton team who has a crush on this cute girl. That's it. He just like me for real. Every day, Taiki makes it his goal to arrive at school as early as possible so that he can be the first one at morning practice. However, despite this, there's always one person that ends up getting there before he does. His crush, Chinatsu Kano. Chinatsu is the rising star of the girls' high school basketball team, and from both an outside and inside perspective, it's easy to tell that at least on the social ladder, there is definitely a gap between the two. However, because this is a manga, and a strange twist of fate, Chinatsu ends up living at Taiki's house due to her parents going abroad for work. Also, coincidentally, both their moms played basketball together in high school, so yeah, some of you may be wondering why he has a crush on her in the first place, and the reason as to why is because last year, when all sports practices were canceled for the new year, Taiki decided to get some extra practice in by himself, only to be met with a crying Chinatsu practicing and shooting the ball around after a heartbreaking loss, causing her to lose the chance to participate at nationals. Ever since then, Taiki has not only had admiration and respect for the young girl, but has also gained an outrageous crush on her as well. Seeing her so determined and motivated all the time makes our badminton boy want to do the best he can for not only himself, but for her sake as well, especially in the hopes that he can someday stand on the same level as her. It's a nice little cute way to motivate your character that everyone can relate to. You see your crush doing cool shit all the time and you're like, hey, I also kind of want to be as cool as them, and you know, it kind of makes you want to do better as well. Now, Blue Box is currently being serialized by Shonen Jump. Yes, you heard that right. The Shonen Jump is currently running this borderline shoujo romance manga, and when you look at all of the other manga that are under Shonen Jump, it's very interesting seeing just how different it is compared to the others. What really caught my eye when I initially started reading Blue Box was what I said earlier. just how much of it felt like an old school shoujo story. The way Blue Box has almost effortlessly combined both the shoujo and shonen attributes to story is really cool, because as someone who is, well, a dude, I've always wanted the storytelling aspect of most shoujo romance manga, but from a guy's perspective, and Blue Box is, well, literally just that. Shows like Kimi no Toroke, My Little Monster, Maid-sama are all some of my favorite romance animes. Hell, my favorite romance anime of all time is Lovely Complex. And yeah, if you couldn't tell by now, I am a pussy. They just all have this certain vibe to it that not a lot of modern romance anime and manga have nowadays. I'm not sure whether it's just because of nostalgia, or maybe it's just the old quote-unquote vintage style of anime makes it almost seem more grounded and charming in a weird way, but regardless, as a fellow soft boy, this shit goes hard. There's currently only 88 chapters at the time of me writing this script, and so far I'm really liking the overall feel of the story and the dynamic between the characters. With a lot of romance manga now being very in your face and having this sort of high energy, slapstick, and almost chaotic feeling atmosphere, it's just really nice to sometimes get a chill, relaxed romance story with two endearing characters that isn't boring, because we get that a lot. Like a lot of that. Something else that I really wanted to highlight about Blue Box is how well it deals with the idea of maturity in relationships. We'll get back to the main couple in a second, but I actually think that the people who show this the best are Taiki's senpai Haruyu and his girlfriend Karen. Haruyu is first introduced to us as a rival for both badminton and love for Taiki, as he seems to be fairly close with Chinatsu and is the best badminton player at school. But we then quickly find out that Haruyu has no interest in Chinatsu and actually has a girlfriend himself. Just so happens to be a young, beautiful rising actress. Yeah, fuck this guy. Anyways, we find out gradually as the story progresses that a really big reason as to why Haruyu is so passionate about his badminton activities is because of his girlfriend and the type of relationship that they have. They both first met back when they were in 5th grade and started to gradually get feelings for one another in middle school, but because both had things they wanted to achieve, they decided to not push on it any further. One very cute story later, and the couple starts officially going out on the condition that if either one of them slack off at work or at sports, they'd break up. Taiki compliments Karen on how well both of them balance out work and their relationship, and she quickly brushes it off, saying that it's not at all that impressive. You see, Haruyu and Karen are almost like a direct reflection of what Taiki and Chinatsu can be. Both couples have similar circumstances where each of them are trying to chase their dreams, while also trying to balance out their relationship. The older couple is a perfect example for Taiki to show that it is possible for him and Chinatsu to be together, but it's also not going to be easy. This is by far my favorite chapter in the manga. Having this introspective look on Haruyu and Karen's relationship is really nice and is a good way to kind of gauge out what our main couple could look like later down the line. Even though I have a lot of praise and good things to say about this manga, there are some things I would have really liked from it. Maybe instead of them just entering high school, make it to where the story took place just as they're about to graduate from high school, or have it to where they're approaching graduation and how that affects relationships moving forward. But then again, this is a Shonen Jump manga, so they have to cater to their target audience somehow, which I guess I can understand, but I just can't help to think how cool it would have been to have this manga set in late high school to early college. I think it would have fit much better with the more mature route this manga is trying to take itself in, and would have greatly highlighted the story's stronger aspects in my opinion. Now with that being said, I still think this manga is worth reading if you're a romance fanatic yourself, or if you just want a nice little serotonin boost before you start your day. One thing that I do want to give a heads up on if you plan on reading the manga is for those of you who go into this manga thinking that it'll be a sports story, you'll most likely not get that much enjoyment out of it. Sure, sports is a very big part of this story, but the romance aspect takes the lead for the most part, while the sports side is more so on the back burner. This was just something that I thought I should mention because I've seen a few complaints about the manga not being able to balance out the sports and romance aspects of its story, and honestly, it is valid criticism. The manga can sometimes lose itself on if it should be more of a sports story or a romance story, and it kinda struggles to pick a side sometimes. I'm really happy that Shonen Jump decided to take a risk on Blue Box. This isn't something that they would normally serialize, so it makes me hopeful that in the future, we could potentially get more stories like this that are similar in tone by Shonen Jump. As much as I like my trashy harem anime, there's only so much I can take of, my classmate is a secret succubus and the only way she can survive is she kisses me. I'm over it. There's way too much of that now, and it's just really refreshing to read a cute, down-to-earth, no gimmick romance manga, because unfortunately, stories like Blue Box are kind of fading out very slowly. Are there many mangas similar to Blue Box that are out right now? Yes, there are. You just kind of need to dig for them a little. But that's the thing. They aren't as prevalent anymore in my opinion. The only reason as to why I found Blue Box was because it was under Shonen Jump. You know, the most successful and popular outlet for manga ever. I'm just praying that it doesn't get axed anytime soon because from what I can tell, it doesn't get talked about that much over here in the West. Besides my video, there are only a handful of videos on YouTube that talk about this manga and all of them with relatively low views, including mine. But yeah, please read Blue Box. Its take on maturity and relationships is some of the best I've seen in a romance manga, and while we're kinda in the middle of this weird, slow arc, I hope that it can continue to keep the ball rolling with the very unique position this story has found itself in. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about Blue Box, so if you enjoyed this video, maybe consider leaving a like or subscribing. I make anime content like this all the time, or at least I try to, and if you don't want to, that's also cool. It's been Hard Eyes, and I'll catch you on the next one.